Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ampcast with me, your host Khan, bringing you another day of music, culture, art, and God knows what that happens right here in Dubai. On today's episode, we've got a good friend of mine. He is probably the only guy I know in the UAE who builds his own guitar. Don't hold that against me, but like I said, as far as I know, thank you so much for being with us, Basil. Spending the next 20 minutes or so with us right here at the Ampcast. How you been?
Good.
Good to have you here. I'm going to just jump straight into it, right? So now, I've seen you play music, I've seen you sing and play the guitar at the Amped Open Mic Night, which is great.
Rarely.
But that's not how we met. We met because I saw you post on the internet that you're building guitars out of cigar boxes.
Was it? Was that how we met?
I think so. I wanted to buy one.
I think it was. Well, first time I heard about you, my cousin told me about you, and you guys worked together at Red Bull.
Ooh, that must have been a long time ago.
And she told me to see you.
That part of my life is blocked out. It's
Yeah.
like Twilight Zone. I go in there, I'm like, what? When did this happen? No. So for me, it's more important to know you as the guy who builds guitars because, I mean, you worked on a bunch of my guitars. I've visited your workshop. I've seen a bunch, like hundreds of guitars there. How did a guy like you end up being in the UAE building guitars? Because that's not something you see every day.
Yeah, I mean, I came back to the UAE because my family's here.
You came back from where?
I was in Canada for
You
university.
left Canada for UAE?
I guess it's a very
What were you
common story. Everybody does that.
Do they?
Yeah.
No, man. My story is way more. I wouldn't say worse, but it's. I just never left. I've been kind of like been here my whole life.
Yeah.
And I've seen people come from all over the place, but you know, there's a certain age group, and they come for a different reason. Never for someone who wants to pursue music or build guitars, for that matter.
Well, it wasn't like that. I mean, I was here, pretty much born and raised. Been here since I was 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
And high school, everything over here. And then I went to Canada for university. And when I came back to work with the family business, that's what brought me here. I started working with the family, and the guitars thing kind of came out of nowhere. Honestly, I was working at a factory. I was working at my family's factory, and I needed a hobby, as I usually do. I always have some kind of hobby where I'm building things. I love building things. I was doing, since I was a kid, building model airplanes, all sorts of construction jobs when I was in university.
Wow.
Home renovation projects, things like this. And when I came back here, of course, I needed to find myself a hobby. And being at the factory, I was just surrounded with all this scrap material and all these tools and machinery. And I don't know how the decision came to be, how the chemicals were put together in my brain, but I decided to try and give it a shot.
Must have been really strong chemicals, my friend, because like I said, no one else has done it. I do know a friend of mine who used to live here in Dubai. He wasn't a luthier, but he did a great job at repairing guitars and reconditioning them. That's Ramsay Phillips. If he's watching, shout out to him. I think you know him as well, and you must have crossed paths at some point.
I do. I do know Ramsay, and I think I owe him a lot, actually. He taught me a lot about repair.
Oh, okay.
When I met Ramsay, I wasn't interested in doing any kind of repair work. I was just building my cigar box guitars, and I don't remember if at that point. Yeah, I had done my apprenticeship after, so I'd been building guitars, cigar box guitars for 3 years, and I gave it a shot trying to make more conventional acoustic guitars. But still, up until this point, it was all like scrap guitars, salvaged wood and things like that. And after I did my apprenticeship, I came back and I was like, I'd solidified my position as, all I want to do is build guitars. And a lot of people were asking about repair work, and I wasn't really entertaining that. And then it became a lot of requests. So I reached out to Ramsay, and he was a really nice guy. He was ready to teach me. And
He still is a nice guy.
He's a nice guy still. Still a nice guy.
Yeah, he's still a nice guy. He used to be good at what he did, but I think now there's just a handful of people who are repairing guitars, and let alone making them. How long has it been since you started? Since your first cigar box guitar till now?
5 years.
5 years. Over the 5 years, I believe you started building guitars of your own design.
Yeah.
You're getting into electroacoustic, if I'm not mistaken, or is that something that's not on the table?
No, it is. I mean, it's kind of all over the place, It's The way I make my guitars is still very unorganized. I'm always trying different new things.
That's the musician side of things.
I don't know. I mean, that's the way I like to do it. I love to build guitars. It doesn't really like, you could think about it as a business, but that's not really the way that I deal with it when it comes to the building
Well,
aspect.
you lasted 5 years, man. I'm sure there's some business aspect to it, right?
Well, you just make, try and make enough money to finance your guitar building, and
Okay.
when you actually get down to it, make whatever you want and whatever sticks. That's
So
what
no
sticks.
one's done that, and I'm just thinking that were there any major challenges you faced along the way that you were like, oh my God, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore, man. This is the wrong decision. What am I doing? Was there ever that moment?
No, I
That's a
never.
good thing.
No, I never didn't want to do it.
That's a good thing.
But it was a challenge in the beginning. Specific. I mean, I was self-taught
Mm-hmm.
for the first 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, it wasn't hard getting knowledge. There's all sorts of knowledge, books, YouTube videos. There's a lot of that, and there's still so much more that I'm learning until today. With that method. But there was no infrastructure over here. There was no.
Can you take a deep dive into that? What do you mean no infrastructure with regards to?
Like, it was really hard to be able to fabricate anything. I needed a lot of machinery, for example, and the machinery that I needed was specific to guitar making or anything. Like, you can classify it as like delicate woodworking.
Okay.
Over here, a lot of the machinery that's available is for the construction industry. So things that sand doors or door panels or windows or things like that. And that machinery is huge and super expensive, and I don't need it.
Okay.
So I wanted to buy, the same kind of machines, but a little bit smaller, and you couldn't find any of that. Either you'd have to get it shipped in, and that stuff is really heavy, so
Right.
very
I
expensive.
can imagine.
Or you have to make it, and that's what I ended up doing. So I made most of my machines.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You built your own machines?
Yeah.
Man, it can't get more dedicated than that. So 5 years later, I'm guessing you're pretty satisfied with the decision of getting into the guitar making business. But has it grown in terms of, like, do you have customers or people who've used your instruments and created music further, who are now, I don't know, making records and they're happy with your instruments and they're coming back and going like, yo, we want to make more, or they want to customize stuff? Is that something that's happening yet?
Well, not to a big, not in a big way. I do
Okay.
have people that have bought my instruments, and they're dedicated followers now. And
I mean, you play music yourself as well, right? I mean, I remember
I
seeing
do.
you at the Amped Open Mic Night. Is that not something you want to also pursue? Because I mean, you're already surrounded by music instruments that you're building yourself, right? And I think you did pretty well at the Open Mic Night.
yeah, I think it was okay.
Yeah, it was fun. I think it was the first time I've seen you sing. I didn't know you sang. But you had, if I remember correctly, the genre that you had was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was somewhere like a bluesy, acoustic-y kind of sound. I don't even know if that's a word.
Yeah, blues, country,
Right? Yeah.
old country music, blues, folk music. A lot of people don't know that I sing because I don't do it in public that often at all.
You should. You should. I think it suits everything else that you're doing with music instruments. Other than guitars, have you tried building anything else?
Yeah, for sure. I'm
Really?
building all sorts of stringed instruments all the time.
Really?
Made ouds.
Arabic? Really?
Yeah, I made ouds, violins, banjos, mandolins.
Have you tried the qanun?
No, I
That's a
haven't
complicated
tried,
one,
I haven't
right?
tried to make one. I think, yes, it is complicated, but not more complicated than oud. I mean, a lot of instruments that I've made were for the first time. Like the oud. When I got commissioned to make oud, I never made oud before. So there's always like a research period. And
How much time goes? So say you want to build an acoustic guitar, like a jumbo-sized acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
How much time does it take from the idea to it being playable and in a performance?
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're talking about a solid wood acoustic guitar, which is
Yeah.
how I make my acoustic guitars now, if you're starting from scratch with, the timber, big pieces of wood.
Is that what you have in the studio right now?
Yeah, I've got one of those.
All right,
and-
we're gonna see that later. You can tell us a little bit about it in terms of how you started off with that specific guitar. But
Yeah.
in general, in terms of hours, how much hours?
300.
300 hours
Yeah, 300
in
hours.
one guitar.
Yeah.
Are you serious? That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. That's why I think the magic number with the manpower that I've got now is 3 guitars at a time. If you make 3 at a time, then there's no wait times. You know, you're not waiting for things to dry.
I guess, I mean,
you're
that's
always working, and three kind of makes sense. So you divide the 300 by 3, and that's 100 hours, which
I think
sense.
that makes more sense. You kind of create like a production line of your own. So you're doing this alone? You got no help?
No. I've got some help. I got a carpenter that's been working with me for 3 years. Well, he was a carpenter. He's a luthier now. I would say, yeah.
So we have 2 luthiers in the UAE now.
Yeah.
Great, good to know. And you're planning on expanding that operation, or?
I really want to.
Because you said that you didn't think of it as a business plan, but 5 years later, I'm guessing that.
Well, not in the sense. I guess. Let me rephrase it. It wasn't. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't always making the most, feasible decisions. You know, a lot of the decisions when it comes to the guitar building aspect of the business. I say that because there's the repairs and there's the workshops, and those are the 2 main parts of the business. When it comes to the guitar building, a lot of times I make decisions that are not, the most financially feasible. But it's because I want to take a risk, because I believe in making these instruments or those instruments. I don't make instruments that people ask me to make. I don't. I make them the way I like them, and that's not the best way to sell your instruments.
Well, I'm just thinking that, I mean, you're in a place where there's no music industry per se. You have a lot of gigs, a lot of musicians, a lot of talent, but what you also have out here is a lot of music shops who are selling brands like Gibson, Epiphone, name it. They've got all the big brands, Ibanez, Yamaha. They all exist out here.
Yeah.
And then you've got this one independent guitar luthier like yourself going up against all of that. Has that ever, have you ever had musicians coming up to you and go like, yo, it's a really great guitar and it's got a lot of emotion in it because you built it and you designed it, but it's still not a Gibson? Or is that something you just don't think about?
No, it's something I'm aware of for sure. There's different people. Some people, probably the majority, is like what you just described. They would rather go and put that same money into buying a Martin or a Fender or a Gibson. But there are the other people that know exactly what it means to buy a handmade guitar and know that you can, when you buy a handmade guitar, you can potentially customize it and create something that doesn't exist on the market. Not just the gadgets, like the actual build it for that person, so that it fits in their hand exactly the way they want it, so that it sounds exactly the way they want it, so that it weighs the way they want it, and all that.
And is it your market right now is Dubai, or you're branching out to the region?
The market's Dubai. The market's Dubai mainly. I've sold a couple abroad. But it's been slow because when I was selling abroad and I was selling them online, shipping was an issue, and 50% of the time they would break, and that's something I'm not willing to do anymore.
That's happened?
Yeah, half the time. But this was like a few years ago when my guitars were still, they weren't like the solid wood acoustic guitars. But that happened to one of those,
I can imagine. That's like 300 hours.
300 hours, yeah.
Gone in like less than 3 minutes, man. That'd be pretty messed up.
Yeah.
We were talking about cigar box guitars. What's that market like? Because that's a very, not everybody plays a cigar box. Not everybody even knows they exist.
Yeah.
But they've been around since the 20s and 30s, 1920s, 1930s.
More than that, 1800s,
More than that, 1800s. It's weird. Nobody remembers them, but I guess they're not as common.
Yeah.
Now, you're building them by the day. Are they selling a lot? Is that a lot of musicians who use that kind of stuff? Or is it more of like a decoration thing?
It's not decoration, but it's more like, I just want to make them, so I keep on making them. And every now and then one sells, but it's very random. I still haven't cracked that one yet, but... I've tried so many different strategies. I tried, stalking them at first, and then they would all sit there and not sell, and then I'd get annoyed, and I stopped making them, and I say, I'm only going to make them to order, but then I wouldn't get that many orders, but I do want to build them because they're really fun.
Yeah.
And now
you're doing guitar building workshops too now, right?
Now I'm doing, yeah.
What is that about?
Well, I'm doing, I've got 3 workshops right now, 3 different subjects. I do the build a cigar box guitar.
Yeah.
So I've got this product that I made a while ago, and it's a kit. You buy it. It's got an instruction manual. It's got a pre-made neck.
Okay.
And which I made at the workshop, and a cigar box that's been cut, and then a bag with all the accessories and an instruction manual. So last year I decided to turn that into a workshop. So the instruction manual has been turned into a presentation, and people come and we build the cigar box guitars together. So that's one of them.
That's pretty cool.
It's really, really fun.
Yeah, it sounds
it's
like
really
fun.
Yeah, you get to customize it and really turn it into your own. We have a jam session at the end, and
Nice.
I've got really, really good feedback
Nice.
from that workshop. And they happen on a bi-weekly basis.
Okay.
And the other workshop is a canjo workshop, which is a little bit more simplified. It's like a cigar box, but it's got one string, and it uses a can instead of a cigar box.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'd
So
love to hear that.
It's really good.
Where do these workshops happen? Where are you located? Where's the workshop itself? Let people know. I'll definitely come by for one of these workshops myself.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, I've got two locations. I got my permanent Sharjah location. That's where all the woodworking happens. But people don't visit me that much because it's in Sharjah.
Why? Why do you think that is? I get to hear that a lot.
I think it's. I don't know. I think they're just misinformed. They don't know
About
what's out
Sharjah?
there. They don't know what's out there. And
They don't know that
they think it's a
Basil
lot
is
scarier.
sitting there. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but your brand is called Howlin Roosters, guitars and such.
Howlin Rooster.
Rooster. There's
Guitars and
one.
such. Thanks.
There's one. I thought there was a bunch of them. So Howlin Rooster, guitars and such.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with that name? Sounds very Texas for some reason.
Just a spark of inspiration.
All right, cool, man. That's
In a second.
It's a cool name. People can buy the stuff online,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah,
prefer
in a
coming
way.
to the shop.
In a way, I mean, you could buy it online in the sense that it's all. I mean, everything is on the page. It's on the Instagram page. We have an.
What is that? Is it Howling Roosters? HowlinRooster.com or?
Well, no, it's we've got the Instagram shop, so it's Howlin Rooster _ Insta shop,
Okay.
and all the guitars that are available are on there with the price and everything. And you just send a message and we can work it out.
All right. So you've got one workshop which is in Sharjah that nobody visits.
That nobody visits, and I've got the more friendly face that people come to, and that's out of it's a pop-up that I'm operating out of at Circal Avenue.
All right. Yeah. So Carl Avenue that's a creative hub itself, man.
Yeah, I'm working out of a place called Cave,
Okay.
Warehouse 20, and I'm there until August. I don't know what's going to happen after that.
Okay.
But the workshops will continue, whether it's from Circal or from other people that we collaborate with. There's a lot of people that want to collaborate, whether it's cafes or restaurants or other creative spaces.
Okay, so moving away from building guitars for a few minutes, like I said earlier, I've heard you sing and play at the open mic nights. Is that not something you're never going to pursue, or something that you don't want to, or?
No, honestly, it's something that I really do want to pursue. It's
Okay.
it's something very, very important to me. It's just, like you said, you just got to make time for it. Somehow.
You're putting 300 goddamn hours into building a guitar. I'm sure you can take out a few hours and come by and play some more
Man,
music.
I'm telling you, honestly, every day I tell myself I'm going to play guitar, and I haven't been able to do more than half an hour per week. I'm tuning guitars all the time. I'm fixing guitars all the time. Just don't get to
So
play
when you have performed, are you playing your own guitars? Stupid question, but I'd like to know the answer for that.
Depends. Yeah, that time at Amped I was playing that time I was playing Chez's guitar.
Everyone plays Chez's guitar.
Yeah.
It's a special guitar.
No, it depends. Honestly, more often than not, I'm not playing my guitars, because when I am playing, I do play very comfortably when I'm at, when I'm with friends at parties, or when we go out camping or something like that. When I go camping, I always take a cheap guitar. So I'm always.
I think everyone does, man.
So I'm not playing my guitars.
Something to do with it being outdoors next to a flame.
Next to a fire, yeah.
Yeah. Talking about you playing your own guitar, I mean, have you ever thought of the idea of endorsing Dubai-based musicians, guys who are writing their own music, guitar players who maybe would like to have a product which is handmade by someone within Dubai? It kind of blends well with the whole community helping the community kind of thing, don't you
Yeah.
think? Is that something that you've thought of?
Absolutely.
And do you have a guy you've endorsed?
Well, if you...
I mean, I'm open. I'm just saying.
No, I haven't. I know
I'd love to.
you've told me before. I gave you a sticker.
you gave me you gave me a T-shirt.
I gave
you a T-shirt
also.
for which I gave you a record.
Yes.
So now you need to give me a guitar,
Now I need to give you
and
a
I'll
guitar.
give you a song.
Perfect.
No, but seriously, have you thought of that?
No, I really did. Honestly, I have thought about that, and I would like to, because it just makes sense, It's, as you said, it's the music community.
Mm-hmm.
There's different parts of the community, and I'm part of that, and I need to be a little bit in there. I feel like I'm a bit of an outsider a lot of the time. I'd like to have my...
Let's turn this into a couch session. Why, Basil, do you feel you're an outsider? I'm just joking, man. I mean, this is not therapy. No, I personally don't think you're an outsider. I think the community itself is really small in Dubai. I think sometimes musicians and guys in the scene feel like that because maybe they play different genres or they're doing different things. I mean, in your case, you're building guitars, but I really think it's just one big community, and I think... that's what we're trying to do with AMP. We're trying to bring everyone together. We've had guys who've come on the show who are musicians, songwriters, producers, and now we've got, for the first time, hopefully not the last time, a luthier, yourself. And, I think what we're trying to do is just connect everybody and allow them to kind of get into each other's space. Because I think, like you said, if you want to endorse someone and the right guy comes along, I think it's very much possible. There's a lot of talent in Dubai.
Yeah.
Do not underestimate that, man.
No, I've had a few. I've definitely had a few musicians come up to me, and we're in the talks. They want me to make a guitar, but these things take a long time sometimes.
So let's see one of these guitars. Let's see what you got, man. I can see 3 guitars. One of them has my name on it. So is this the guitar you were telling me that takes about 300 hours to make?
So yeah, this one took 300 hours.
Looks pretty smooth. Looks like a good job.
This is from scratch. I brought this guitar over. I've got like 4 more like it, but I brought this specific one over because this one is really important to me. This was the one that I built in Canada with the man who I apprenticed for.
Oh.
So after 3 years of doing things, self-taught, I decided that I wanted to learn,
I can't believe that's the one you got for me, man.
Yeah.
I'll guard it with my life. No, I can't keep joking about this because it looks so professionally made. I could have never thought I'd be sitting with someone who built a guitar this good. And I'm not saying that because I know you, but it's actually a really good looking guitar. So you said it's really special to you, so I'm guessing this one's not for sale.
No, not for sale. I've said before that, it doesn't really matter. I'm not so attached to material things, but I think I might be a little bit sad to see this one go.
The way you're looking at it right now, I'm pretty sure you're not going to let it go. But
Yeah.
tell me more about this guitar. You said you made it in Canada. It was the one you worked with you did your apprenticeship on,
Yeah,
on this guitar?
so I apprenticed with a guitar maker named Sergey de Jong. He apprenticed, he's a Dutch luthier who apprenticed for Larrivee, Jean Larrivee.
I have zero idea who these guys are.
Very, very...
I know Les Paul.
Yeah, Jean Larrivee
that's
is
as far as my knowledge goes.
I don't want to say anything that's not correct, but they're very successful high-end commercial acoustic guitars. So
Okay.
kind of like Collins,
Yeah, I know Collins.
something like that,
Okay.
like in that level. So he apprenticed for him, and he makes guitars out of Quebec, and his guitars go, for up to $10,000.
Wow.
So he really makes excellent guitars, and
So you got 4 of these lying in your shop?
yeah. So this is the one that came from Canada. All the woods came from Canada. It's a spruce top, rosewood, East Indian rosewood back and sides,
Wow.
Honduran mahogany neck, ebony fretboard and bridge. It's like really all the top grades of wood.
Yeah.
It's the stuff he uses in his shop. He
Yeah, it
doesn't
sounds
use-
like you've used some pretty high-end material to put this thing together.
Yeah.
Okay, and you didn't start off with these. You started off with cigar box guitars.
I started off with cigar box guitars, and then I started making acoustic guitars, but out of plywood, like scrap wood. It was all plywood, but I was making...
Scrap wood, like you would go around Dubai, look construction sites, steal the wood and build a guitar?
Yeah, well, we had a few big sources, like the factory where I was working at. We had a lot of, scrap wood that comes in from the packaging department.
Okay.
We made crates to send, the fiberglass sheets that we were making overseas. And then the industrial area and like the surrounding area was all being demolished. It's still, until now, every day you see like a few bricks missing.
Wow, man.
But there's, they had everything.
So you go on a scavenger hunt, you look for the, type of wood that you want and you build a guitar.
Yeah, I used to always have my eyes out on the road.
That is badass, man.
I would mark the spot, and then if the piece was too big, I would, mark down the place, and when I got back to the factory, I'd get the pickup truck and,
really?
And go pick up.
Have you ever been stopped on the road by the cops or anyone going like, "Yo, you're stealing construction property or whatever"?
It's not stealing.
I wouldn't. I'm not.
I wasn't going to a construction site that was actually building a building. I was going to like completely demolished.
But that's amazing.
Places.
I mean, it gives a whole new meaning to one man's trash is another man's treasure. Because I mean, if this is the kind of stuff that's coming out of scrap wood, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty phenomenal.
Well, not the specific one, but the next one.
The next. The evolution of this is you're going to eventually get into electronics with, semi-acoustic guitars with these.
Well, this has a pickup.
This has a pickup.
I mean, that's really. I think every acoustic guitar is potentially an electric.
You can plug that in and start playing it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And when it comes to electronics, is there a specific make that you get into, or?
Well, for the acoustic guitars, I was just using the same one Sergey was using. He uses K&K.
Okay.
He's been doing it for 40 years. I'm not going to argue with him.
Okay.
But I have installed other systems, and they're okay. But honestly, I don't plug in my guitars often enough to really know the difference. And I can tell the difference between a really crappy one and a really, and one that sounds decent. But performers know way better.
Maybe it's time we give Shez's guitar a break and we get one of yours.
Yeah.
And maybe you could help us out at the amp show with that. No, I'm just kidding. So going back to cigar box guitars, you got one of those in the studio as well, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right, so I know this guitar. I think I've seen this at your workshop, and I think I kind of played it as well for like 5-10 minutes, and it sounded really good, this one, man.
Yeah.
And the design work on it is pretty great about it. So something like this would take how long to build?
So this one really depends. When it comes to cigar box guitars, I'm always playing around with the production methods. So sometimes I make the necks from scratch.
Okay.
That takes a very long time. And sometimes I just use an old electric guitar's neck, which is what I've got on over here.
Okay.
So this came off of...
So that helps cut down the time.
Definitely.
Okay.
Because a neck...
Which one do you prefer as someone who makes guitars?
Honestly, I like my own necks. I like
Okay.
my own necks much more.
Okay.
But the problem is no one's going to pay you for that time. When it comes to a cigar box guitar especially.
Guys, what are you doing, man? You got to support the local music community. All right, no, this looks amazing. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell whether you've made it or not, but kudos to you that you're honest enough to let us know. I think the neck is just a part of the guitar. The complicated part in this guitar to me looks like everything, which is from the pickups and the switches and the knobs and stuff.
Really? No, that's.
I mean, to me, bro, I'm not. Again, I'm not the guy who builds them. I'm the guy who plays them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know much about this, but why don't you enlighten me with it?
Yeah, actually, I think the most critical part is getting all the pieces to align properly and putting them in the right place. Getting the bridge the right distance or the saddle the right distance from the nut, aligning the bridge so that it's right in the middle of the body, and the same thing with the neck, and everything lines up, and the neck angle and all that stuff. That's the complicated stuff. The electronics can be complicated, but I don't like complicated electronics.
Okay.
So I always wire them up real simple.
And when it comes to cigar boxes, is it like you need to look for a particular size or a depth and things like that? Or can you literally make a guitar out of any cigar box?
Yeah, you can make a guitar out of any cigar box if you're making your own necks. Because if the box is small, then you can make whatever size neck you want. But if you're using standard necks, like a Strat or a Tele 25.5-inch scale length, usually the size of the box is important. So I can't use other necks with boxes smaller than this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a fabulous guitar. Something like this would retail by you how much, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, this one was 2,500.
2,500. It's not bad, man.
It's really
Because I
not
remember
bad.
playing this. It's pretty good. I mean, I think people should swing by also call or check out your Insta shop, or take the trip down to Sharjah and check out your workshop there. I've been to your workshop, I think, once or twice. Man, it's like a museum in there. You walk in there, you'll see guitars everywhere. These hand-built, amazing cigar box guitars. Yeah, man, I've got my eye on this one. It's a pretty eye-catching guitar, to be honest. And hopefully, I'll be playing one of your guitars sometime soon.
I hope so.
At the Amped Open Mic Night and Jam, or maybe on the record as well. I'm not going to take much of your time, Basil. I know you've got a whole evening planned out of long drives and distances. But hey, thank you so much for taking the time out to come by on Ampcast. It's always great to have musicians and guys like yourselves. We've never had a luthier on the show before, but hopefully you're going to inspire a couple of guys who are watching. Quick one before. So you've been doing this for 5 years, you said, right? 5 years you've been building
5 years,
guitars. And you've got these amazing guitars that you've showed us. Now, clearly, when you started off, I'm sure you must have had a bunch of designs or guitars that weren't to your level of satisfaction.
Of course. Of
And
course.
How does it feel from going from that to this now? Must have been quite a journey. I mean, I'm sure you threw away. I don't know. Did you throw them away? Did you throw away all those?
No, I haven't. I've got some guitars that are literally, a stick in a cigar box, and they're so crude and they look so bad. It's like, it's just lazy, like, I don't know why I wouldn't sand, the corners, or like, just really, really sloppy stuff. But it's because I was always, like, the biggest challenge for me, and until now it's the same, the biggest challenge has always been patience. I'm so excited to see it, strung up. Until now, I'll do that a lot, even with my high-end guitars. I'll get them to play, and then I won't finish something. Like, they'll stay that way for a year until somebody buys it. Then I'll be like, oh, wait a sec, I gotta finish this one thing.
Wow. No, the reason I asked is because I think it's important for everyone listening and watching to know that it's not just as easy as someone makes it sound. Because I mean, I know you said 300 hours and stuff, but you're showing me guitars which look fabulous, and I wanted to just ask you and understand whether that's how it started off from day one. But I'm sure it's not an easy ride.
No, it started off very, very.
I mean, like I
basic.
said, patience.
Very
Patience, I
basic.
think, is the key, right?
Every single guitar that I built taught me something, and I built about 400 guitars so far.
Okay, that's
So
a lot of
it's a lot of
guitars.
learning.
Yeah,
It's a lot of learning.
and I think learning never stops.
No, never. That's what keeps me building them.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't wait to see some of the other designs that you've got displayed at the shop, and hopefully see you at the open mic nights where you can come by and play your guitars, and hopefully I get to play them as well.
Yes.
And I mean, I would be so happy to have you on the show at the time when you start getting into electronic guitars, because I know you mentioned that once as well.
I have 16 in the oven.
16 in the oven. Well, you know what? I can't wait to see those.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass by the shop. Thank you, Basil, so much
Thank
for
you.
being with
Thank
us
you,
at the
Colin.
Ampcast.
Pleasure.
Guys, once again, go check out Howlin Rooster Guitars and Such on their Insta shop, the website. And you can, who knows? Maybe that's the guitar that you've been waiting for. And if not that, then for all the slightly older guys out there, if you've got kids, then make sure you grab one of those DIY guitars from Howlin Rooster, because I think that'd be a great hobby for you to pass on to the next generation. You never know, maybe the kids can become rock stars and such. You see what I did there?
That's it.
Yeah, so once again, guys, thank you so much, and Basil, have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us, man.